Okay, hello and welcome everyone out there on the internet, in the internet, and non people who may be watching. Welcome to our new overlords. I am Beast. You are currently watching the Beast Wilds, The Way Forward. This is a campaign set using the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition with a bunch of homebrew shenanigans. Set in my personal campaign setting, the Beast Wilds. And I'm very excited to have you here. Uh, let's introduce our cast. If you weren't here for the first episode, you can check it out on YouTube. Otherwise, let's get to know our friends here. We're going to do this in clockwise order. So, starting in the top right, Bonus Dad, if you would please introduce yourself and your character. Or remind us who your character is.
All right. I am otherwise known as Bonus Dad, and Bonus Mom has a live stream TikTok from about 9 o'clock to noon or 9 o'clock to 11, I guess it is, on weekdays, most weekdays, on Bonus Mom 70 on TikTok. And I am playing Carrick Nailo, also known as Nail, and he is a high elf rogue, and he is a stealthy, sneaky sort of a person.
Wonderful. Nail the Night Breeze, as we shall see him demonstrate soon enough. Thank you, Bonus Dad. Moving on to the lower right, Ace, if you'd please introduce yourself and tell us who you're playing.
Yeah, Ace. You can usually find me bumming around the Bonus Moms Tavern Discord. Usually running a handful of games there. It's kind of a little bit of a hiatus right now, but tonight I will be playing Apollo, the Hobgoblin Ranger.
Wonderful. Okay, moving on over. Sinovia, if you would please introduce yourself and your character.
Hi, I'm Sinovia, the hottest hobbit on this side of the Misty Mountains, and I am playing Catalina, the hottest half-orc on this side of the Misty Mountains.
Wonderful. And moving on up to, you know him, you'll love him, it's Pixel. Pixel, would you please introduce yourself and tell us who you're playing?
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Pixel back at it again with some Dungeons and Dragons. Yo, sorry about that, everybody. I mostly did that to annoy Hampam, which if she's watching. Anyway, I'm Pixel. You can find me here on every other Friday, DMing our other campaign, Curse of Strahd, as well as obviously you can find me here on Mondays, every other Monday, playing this campaign because you already did found me. Congratulations. You're a good finder. Look at you. You can also find me, if you're so inclined, over at twitch.tv/hammer and where I play a whole bunch of games. I have been not streaming for the last week because I have been finishing a solo musical EP of my own devising. So I'll be releasing that sometime in the next couple of months as soon as I can get album art put together. I'm very excited. I've been working on that for like 9 years. But it's finally coming out soon, so that's very exciting. And then I assume sometime in the next couple of days to weeks I'll be getting back at the streaming thing over on the H&P side, so that's where you can find me, and I will be playing Everard Elder Tingle, the halfling shadow sorcerer.
Wonderful. All right, well, would anyone care to I'm getting ahead of myself. The only note that I wrote down in terms of rules or just sort of general guidelines for those of you watching, which I think will be the only rule that I'll ever mention here forth, is don't be a turd. So I think that was a great summary for the episode 1. Go watch it on YouTube if you haven't already. And fairest play. Don't be a turd. Moving on. So our heroes... in the very first session, we saw them, brief flashbacks of where they were, what they were doing, around a turning point in the Beast Wilds, known as Silver Sun, a celestial observance and holiday in most parts of the Beast Wilds, where an entire day during the solar eclipse is stolen from the wilds, and everything is shrouded in darkness except for a single place, the city of Agros, which experienced an entire day of blazing radiant moonlight, hence the name Silver Sun. Fast forward, our misfits have made their way into the service of the Postmen, a voluntary association of folks who travel the roads delivering parcels and missives, keeping the common folk and the gentry alike connected across the Beast Wilds. They have been assigned to the last wagon train leaving the post garrison, this caravan city located outside of this bigger city called Jafrune, and they are heading way across the Beast Wilds, the opposite end, to a little place called Pfuloropolis, where they are set to deliver several things. A couple of locked treasure chests full of confiscated magical items on behalf of the Order of the Censor Antiquarian, who are cracking down on magic across the Beast Wilds because of the skies of shadow. The sun never came back after Silver Sun, and everyone's pointing fingers left and right. Who's responsible for this dastardly occurrence as chaos erupts and civil unrest begins to ferment? Our heroes are traveling the roads, trying to make sense of it all, just like everyone else. Would anyone like to attempt to recap or fill in some details from last session from their characters' perspectives?
Well, Everard keeps a journal. So I have extensive notes from the last session, so I will
Gorgeous.
attempt to summarize. On the day of our departure, we saw several iron-banded chests loaded into the wagons. The chests were stamped with the Florin cross. There's a bunch of stuff in there. We are to set out for Pfuloropolis. We have the Captain Granolfi Gurlith and Fufupa, who is the scribe, along with several other folks. As we were getting ready to leave, we were attacked at the post garrison by a team there was like a team returning, but there were some undead, some like zombified postmen, it seems, with the team that was returning. So we managed to help the sort of what you would call a garrison fend off the fight. We returned to the garrison. No one really seemed to care much about like what had happened in the fight. No questions were asked, no answers were given. So we set out for the first postman's garrison outside of Jafrune City. And then the captain was quizzing us about our like knowledge of our various handbooks, of which we had like 4 different editions, leading to some confusion amongst everyone. And then as we approached the crick, we saw some crick elves. Who was it? Somebody, Apollo, delivered a letter to the pawpaw of the crick, who had previously been Hot Pants McTrippy Dippy, but such person had passed away and was now a different, I don't remember the name of the new elf who was supposed to be the current pawpaw. So we just gave the letter to him. It had like a bunch of sort of secret text in it about what was going on with the Netherfolk in Agrost. And then some people drank some crick water, basically.
Frog
which is
piss.
the frog piss, which is basically a extremely potent libation. And then we played a game of Never Have I Ever. And I believe, let's see. I don't think Everard knows about this, but Apollo tapped some trees to try and get some gold pine sap collected overnight, and we bedded down for the evening. And that's all that I remember. Hopefully that's enough.
I think that's more than enough. And that's where I'd like to pick up. We are in camp. We are distributing the rations. So if anyone is keeping track, you were given 2 units of rations to start your trip. One of those units is now consumed. So at the start of every session, henceforth, we're going to subtract 1 ration just for general upkeep. If you don't have it, we're going to do some Constitution saves against exhaustion. So you have the food, it's made, you've consumed it. There's no exhaustion that's going to set in this early in the trip. But you are now reduced down to a single unit of rations, which will last until your next session, unless something else happens.
Gotcha. And that's like a party thing, party-wide thing, right?
Correct, yes.
Is anyone keeping track of that? Like, who does anyone want to volunteer, or should I do it? What's?
Yeah. Anyone? Would anyone like to be the quartermaster? And I will say that the only things you'll need to track are rations and light, sources of light.
I can do it.
Okay. So as of now, if Catalina will be the quartermaster, she will record 1 unit of light and 1 unit of rations remaining. Each unit will last you about a week's travel, which, again, a week in the Beast Wilds is 6 days. You have traveled now. I believe we rolled our travel die at the end of the first episode. I think we rolled it 2. So you're about to embark. You're still in the first week of your journey. You have a month to get there. That's 6 6-day weeks, or 36 days. Your deadline being that 36th day.
Yeah, so I believe I have my notes say we have 34 days remaining.
That is correct. And so you are all in camp. You can't tell if it's morning or night. Some of you have slept. Nail has taken the first watch, Everard the second. And you are breaking your fast around camp with your fellows, Glemma, Knock Knock, Hufupa, and Captain Granolfi. What do you do?
Okay, sorry, so we're beginning that next day.
Yes.
So unless somebody else has something they want to jump in with, I think Everard being already awake from previous watch, Apollo would probably be up relatively early, just given his background, and would plan to go and retrieve the taps and whatever sap he was able to collect. I think as other people are kind of rising and what have you, he'd probably approach Everard and ask him to give him a hand to go and collect all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think as Apollo would kind of lead the way back to some of these trees, once we're far enough away and kind of near one of these taps, he would pull from his bag the small scroll with the seal on it and kind of turn and kneel down to show it to Everard and be like, hey, so here's the thing. I'm not so learned about these parts, but I know when something kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I see you write an awful lot. Kind of hoping that you may be a little more educated and can kind of help me with this. And he kind of unfurls the scroll, and it's kind of lengthy, and we can definitely go over it in depth, but kind of the gist of it, Apollo goes, is, so I have this to be delivered to an individual. This particular individual is supposed to be appointed the new Postmaster Admiral. And it sounds like this guy's up to no good and is kind of trying to underhandedly take over. And I have a big problem with that. I'm not real fan of that kind of underhanded business, and was kind of hoping, somebody who's maybe a little more educated, maybe access to, I don't know, ink and quill might be able to help me fudge this a little bit so that we prevent this from happening.
And for anyone who'd like to reference that scroll, I have posted a link to it in the Twitch chat.
Great. Let me pull it up.
And so Apollo does unfurl a scroll, which was in his mailbag to be delivered. you both notice that the scroll is addressed to contractor Salagutio Bart, and that it is made out of extremely expensive vellum, which is a type of calfskin leather. It comes from the north. As a former scrivener of the Censor Antiquarian, Everard would understand that this is the kind of medium that only the most important things would be written on. Announcements, certifications, things that are of royal or top decree. It's also written in gold ink, which I think Everard will understand is made from agrosti glitter, which is the main source of wealth that comes from the city of Agrost. A type of golden flakes that bubble up from the bottomless lock. Did Apollo want to read that scroll out loud, or if?
Yeah, so I didn't know if you wanted me to read it out loud right now or wait until it's delivered for everybody to hear it.
I think we can read it out loud now, just to know what we're dealing with.
Sure. So, as written, the letter says, containing here the noble language of the Lord High Lord of Agrost, confidant of Pfulora, house of Jafrune, 12-carat prophet of Our Lady of Unending Credit. The first of his name, Zafriri Jafrune Zoriel, of the Imperial Bond. It reads as it was dictated without corrections herewith. My soggy dumpling, your plans have almost all come true. While hiding amongst the poorest of Asmenber's transient resort tourist population, I purchased a controlling share of the Golden Grotto's spa and resort. All of your damp plunder can be laundered there in the casino. You're so smart. I was funneling donations to Postmaster General Flem Crotchkis, just like you said, but he was killed in a freak underground gas explosion that nearly leveled the Meva Barta post garrison. The PG's newly constructed boat, the PNS Abrupt Climax, was stolen by pirates, and the boatmaker's child was kidnapped and forced into piracy. You must forgive me, my moist lover. I took it upon myself to organize the other profits of the Gilder to contribute to the Flem Crotchkiss Memorial Fund meant to rebuild the Meva Barta post garrison. Our charitable cause has won over the ruling elites of the Norvean Pentarchy, and I have strategically positioned myself within the highest order of the cult of St. Pfulora. With my appointment as High Lord of Agrost, I now have the political sway to annul your crimes. We have amassed considerable influence over many postmasters, and we have called for a vote. We've done it, my wet hubby. You no longer have to hide out in the barren waves. You can come home to me, and we can rule Agrost together. How I long for your misty tickles. Come to Asmund Burr with the certified writ at once and accept your new position. Your love and bond is Zafriri. And notably, the thing that kind of stuck out, and I'm kind of waiting to see what exactly Everard comes with, but at the very least, at the very bottom says this writ is effective by certified delivery on this day, and it is left blank. So at the very least, we could post date that someday in the future, and at the very least, delay this whole thing from happening.
Yes, this writ is as of yet uncertified. It would have to be certified that it was delivered. That is something that an express postman is able to do. And you've noticed that because of the Skies of Shadow, timekeeping has gotten a little inconsistent. Not everyone really knows what day it is anymore. So there's an interesting opportunity before you.
Or, maybe like where it says, it is hereby determined that the titles of, and where it currently says Postmaster General, Postmaster Admiral, we just add like Assistant to or something.
Yeah. And this is all happening while Apollo is collecting the sap which has been drained from the nearby golden pines. This sap is a brilliant golden color, and when purposefully refined, can be used to paint things like golden paint, or maybe even golden ink.
Okay, so what does, given Everard's background
Mm-hmm.
with the Censor Antiquarian, do I recognize any of these names? I certainly would recognize the title of Postmaster General, I would assume. Um, but what do I know about any of this?
So all of you would know that Flem Crotchkis was the former Postmaster General of the Postmen. He was the guy in charge, calling the shots. Um, he has recently perished, unfortunately, and has left a vacancy at the highest level of the Postmen. Um, Having read this letter, Everard would now understand that Zephyri, who is a high-ranking guilder, has recently been anointed into the cult of Saint Pfulora, which is the ruling organization of the destination to where you're going, to Norvey, the Pfuloropolis Pentarchy. So there's been some shadowy political machinations laid bare by this. You have a foreign government who is essentially now melding together. These two opposing ideologies have now found a way to create this joint venture that you've heard about, that Hufupa was telling everyone about, with the draft Postman's Guide that Catalina and Serena have. And that part of these machinations are to take this guy, Salagutio Bart, who is a pirate. You all have heard of the Bart Company, to annul his crimes in secret, and to force an election to vote him into the highest office of the Postmen, which, you know, uh, who knows how that could work out. But you are in possession of the writ that would make that a reality.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Everard says, well, I do have my calligrapher supplies with me. This ink is sort of, mm, we'd have to fake the ink. I think the big trouble is faking the ink. They use this glitter ink that's made from the glitter harvested from the waters in Agros. And so that golden hue is a little tough to fake. But if we can find some way to do that or get our hands on some of that ink, I don't have any problems forging official documents.
Well, that's interesting.
So now
that seems like a really good time, actually.
I would have the knowledge, given my handbook, that I could refine the sap down to at very least a similar color ink, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, like, are we talking real close or like probably a little off?
What I'm going to have you do, if you'd like to do that, is give me a skill check. What you think would be appropriate. You know, if you want to lean into the actual cooking down of it, you want to do some kind of like a medicine check or a nature check. If you want to lean more into the the quality of matching the inks. You want to make like a deception check. I could see that as also a possibility. So here's what we'll do. Do you want to open this up to discussion of the larger group, or do you want to keep this tight knit conspiracy?
Oh, sorry. I think at this point, and given Apollo's standpoint, is he doesn't really know where the others stand. And frankly, I don't think he even really is confident where Everard stands. But he knows that Everard has the capacity of writing, and thus could potentially be the closest one to his knowledge that could forge this kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think he's kind of leaning into him a little bit in this sense where he's just in the standpoint of he believes that good things shouldn't be allowed to happen to bad people, and thus wants to do what he can to hinder this process.
Interesting. All right. So, Everard, Apollo has confronted you with this opportunity. What does Everard think?
I'm on board 100%. Absolutely. I think, yeah, I guess what I would, what Everard says to Apollo is, so yeah, I mean, if we can get the ink, you know, that's that we can find some way to probably fudge this and forge it. Do you have like an idea of who you'd rather put in this position, or like what's the?
So, frankly, I don't know this area real well. I mean, I'm not from around here. I got nobody in mind, but by the sounds of it, this guy is not a great person, and that doesn't sit well with me. I can't, in good conscience, deliver this and let somebody who could do something so wrong. And I think probably Everard would even notice that at this point there's a bit of emotion behind what Apollo is saying. Like he's really kind of bothered by this idea that this guy might be in a position of power.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're talking here about having the political sway to annul crimes, so clearly he's definitely committed a bunch of crimes. Although, you know, not all crimes are created equal, let's say. Um, in my experience anyway. So I guess I think we have a particular opportunity here, and I don't think we should squander it by being careless. I appreciate you approaching me about this. And I don't know, perhaps we've got a long time to figure it out, right? Because we don't have to deliver this until, well, I guess, what is the plan of when we have to deliver this? Where is it that you expect this guy to be?
Well, that's kind of the problem. Usually with these deliveries, I just travel the road and kind of end up encountering these people. They never really give me a destination. They give me a person. You saw with Paw Paw, he just kind of happened to be there, and I heard his name, and that's kind of how that happened. It's the way they give us these locked parchments. It's just like, hey, go find these people.
Gotcha. Okay, what would I think about where this guy's like? I mean, he's a pirate. He could be anywhere, right?
Yeah, he could be anywhere. I mean, I think if I was trying to find a pirate, my best guess would be by water.
And we're headed for that ferry, right?
You do also see that it is addressed attention to contractor Salaguscio Bart. And that might spark a memory in that Apollo, you would remember that the postmaster who renewed your contract was frustrated that pirates kept taking out the ferries that were allowing postman teams to skip the creek, and that they had to hire a new contractor.
Oh, okay. So I think at the very least I would relay that information to Everard. Just that, I mean, where we're heading, likely this guy could be one of the contractors there, if not the contractor where we're.
Well, tits. And obviously it has this personal letter address. Okay, so is the title attached to the letter, or are they like separate?
The attention to the address is on the outside of the letter. He has opened this up, which he's able to do as an express post, but bit of
Okay.
he's reading other people's mail.
Yeah, no, I understand. But I guess what I'm asking is like, okay, we have this letter that says, "My dear soggy dumpling," blah 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 blah, and then we have this official document that says, "Now we hereby decree," blah de blue de blue, right? Are
Correct.
those one piece of paper or are those two pieces of paper?
It is a single scroll.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Although, you
and-
could trim it.
Nail pipes up and says, since Skullduggery is my middle name, why will you not try to steal some of this special ink? Is there any place between here and where we're going that we could, or where this letter has to be delivered, that we might be, it might present the possibility of purloining some?
Oh shit, Niall, where did you come from?
His elven ears hear all, like a breeze in the night.
As Nail steps out from behind the tree in front of which the two of you were talking.
I mean, I have a passive perception of 9, so I didn't see shit.
I rolled this as a joke.
With a
But I
15,
And
I
that
didn't
is
see
by-
anything.
That is by
Damn it.
design, because I said up front, Nail is stealthy and slick.
What did Catalina roll?
I rolled this as a joke, but I got a 21 on stealth.
So here we
I'm
are thinking
fully-
we're being real slick.
I'm full.
Uh-oh, we lost Novi again.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Ah! Oh, whoa!
Why does he keep doing that?
Let's see. How are we?
Well, it looks like cams are in the right place. I think maybe,
Nice.
maybe.
I think they are.
I might just do this on my iPad. Hold on, wait.
Do we need to take a quick break?
I don't know why it's dropping off. Like my Wi-Fi's fine, everything's fine. It's just that Zoom keeps quitting on me. I don't know why.
Oh, and I have chat inspiration from JP. Thank you.
Uh,
I totally
You
missed
do, and I forgot to announce that. Thank you so much, JP.
that. Do I?
Also, as far as refining the sap goes, how do we feel about a survival check?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so then I rolled a 17 on the die for a total of 22.
With the 22, yeah. So as as Nail steps from the shadowy side of a tree and relaces his breeches, Catalina is literally up in a bough somewhere. Serena trots over, looks up into the tree. Now, what are you doing all the way up there? Get down here and have a proper conversation. And Glemma and Knock Knock have fed the communal campfire a few more sticks of tinder. And Apollo, you scrape all of that sap down into a little cooking vessel, set it over the fire to begin to distill, to cook out some of the imperfections and refine it into ink. You put a lid on it slightly askew so it doesn't cook down too much, and you're pretty much good to go.
While I'm climbing down the tree, I want to see if I have anything that might be able to help. Just because I've heard this entire conversation. Okay, I don't have any cool stuff that will help. But I feel like Catalina suggested, she was like, if you need somebody to like replace this person, my uncle met this girl who has this girlfriend that was in Agros, and the girlfriend used to work for like King Kaiser or whatever. But I feel like just put somebody that they already know back into power who has like a girlfriend with a conscience now.
All right, we have one suggestion for Postmaster General: someone's friend's uncle's girlfriend.
Well, and I don't know. This sort of bears saying too is that like the postmaster general kind of ends up being like all of our boss, right? Like if we stay with the postman. So, that bears thinking about. There's a bit of personal interest here, not just a sort of broad wanting to keep some criminal guy from being in charge of a big organization that has a lot of power around here. Um, we also kind of it could suck really bad for us depending on how this goes, right?
You could.
I mean, I feel like, putting one of our names down certainly looks awful suspicious, so I don't think we can go quite that far.
What else do you know about this your uncle's friend's girlfriend?
Um, she was in charge of that illegal club that wasn't illegal because it was being run by King Kaiser's like what second in command or whatever.
The Hollow
That's who she
Circle.
is.
Yeah.
So the Hollow Circlet. She ran that whole thing. So I feel like she has a conscience now. From what I heard, my uncle's ex came back and told him, and he told his wife, and his wife told me because that's how it works sometimes. Um, but like she got stabbed by her now girlfriend and was like, "Oh man, I've been being really, really mean to people, and I just got stabbed. So maybe I should be
So,
nice." So I'm
so
assuming
I'm
she's nice now.
I'm no expert in this, but do we know a name? Because I don't think we can write down my uncle's girlfriend as a title holder here.
What was her name? And
Her true
Catalina's like
name.
scratching her head.
Her true name is Safnia, Safnia, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh, who I believe Sonovi is referring to Costas, the former dead emperor and criminal lieutenant of King Kaiser, who appears to be now in a romantic relationship with one Melody, who was a tiefling present at King Kaiser's execution.
Sometimes you kill a man and then you take from him.
Steal your girl.
But I think Catalina knows like her real name, not like her dead emperor name. So she's like her name is like Saphne or something like that.
Thank you,
I don't know.
Planeswalker.
I never met her. I just heard she's nice.
Well, all the people I know are in the Censor Antiquarian, and they're all assholes, so that doesn't really help anybody.
On the other hand, whoever this individual is this is sender of this letter is trying to uh, machinate into the head position. Uh, it, if I hate to put it this grossly, but to help someone of that caliber get into that situation, and then have that person know that certain individuals who shall remain nameless at this point have that were responsible for getting him in that position might be advantageous in the future.
So it sounds like Nail is suggesting y'all take credit for the appointment.
If you know what I mean.
I also have noticed something here. I'm seeing two titles, Postmaster General and Postmaster Admiral.
That's correct.
One of those sounds new to me. Is it?
Yeah. So the postmen, as you all might be aware, travel the post road by foot, with wagons and prior to the Skies of Shadow with draft animals. They are not seagoing folk, and that's been an issue for about 25, 30 years or so, because as most of you would know and have been alive long enough, the piracy problem in the waters of the Beast Wilds is enormous. It's very, very risky to travel. And unfortunately, since the Skies of Shadow have happened and there's no stars with which to navigate the open waters, it has become increasingly more dangerous to be at sea, because you can't navigate. You have no way of knowing where you're going unless you can see land. Piracy has become much worse because somehow some of the pirates are able to navigate the water still. And none of your characters would know this, but it's because Sabine has a magical means of navigating. Sabine, the aspiring pirate queen, one of Pixel's characters.
Yeah, Sabine is my character. It's all my fault. You're welcome, everyone.
It's literally all his fault.
I've spent hundreds of thousands of gold that I stole from an explosion on building a fleet of pirate ships.
As you should.
Yeah, classic stuff.
So that's where we're at. We have this person, Salaguscio Bart. You all know of the Bart Company, and you all know of the leader of the Bart Company of pirates. Goes by the pirate name Soggy Boots. We have this letter that is clearly political machinations designed to place people who really don't deserve it and do not have anyone's best interest at heart at the highest levels of various organizations which dictate the lives of thousands across the Beast Wilds, including yourselves. And it is Apollo's contract to deliver this writ, which, as he's already said, has an empty line with the date that it was certified. Certainly the rest of it is up for editing, which will be more difficult. Not impossible. But if the goings-on of the day at camp happen and everyone is, everyone's characters is considering how to approach this while Apollo distills some dupe ink. Any other thoughts or conversations that folks would like to have at camp before before the captain wakes up and kicks you all into high gear?
I mean, I feel like we don't yet have a plan, right? So we've had a suggestion of putting Safina in charge, or Sapnia. I'm sorry. The thing that's blank is the date.
Correct.
We can edit some of the rest of it. I feel like in order to fully appoint someone else, we would have to sever the writ from the rest of it and edit it. And then I don't know what that means for giving him the letter without the writ attached to it. Like, the politics of it aren't yet clear to me, I guess is what I'm saying. And I don't want to spend the entire session like we're just planning what to do with this one document necessarily, right? But
it's
that's
a big
that's
document,
how I'm
though.
seeing it out of game right now, right? It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
not just the politics, but the logistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, so like contextually, given the letter though, and again, this is kind of outside of things, but given the context of the letter, I would assume that he's not necessarily expecting this letter either.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I mean, reading over it, so even if we did sever it, I don't think that necessarily anything has to be delivered to the contractor, right? Like, I mean, it seems like this is all filling him in from the get of all of this, so he's not really like on the edge of his seat waiting for this either.
Yeah, nobody's really expecting news about this particular letter for a bit, right? You're contracted to deliver it, which means that someone wrote it and got it into your hands. But the confirmation of its delivery is far into the future, right?
And things get lost in the mail all the time.
Yeah. And the roads are dangerous. Postmen get lost. It happens.
I mean, so maybe we just don't deliver this if we run into the guy and come up with a plan as we go. I don't know. Maybe a opportunity will present itself. Well, and certainly this Safnia person is presumably still in Agros, which is past Pfuloropolis, if I understand correctly, right?
That is
Geographically.
correct.
So, you know, in order to actually deliver this to them, we'd have to get where we're going and then some.
Hmm.
You may have that time. All depends on the journey.
I like the idea of keeping it for now and figuring out what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Fair.
I've got a quick question since we're talking about this. Are you guys like cool?
Cool in what sense?
You know, like cool.
I mean, compared to where I grew up, this is all fairly climate to me. I'm pretty comfortable.
I sort of mean cool more in like your relationship to, let's say, judicial authorities.
I highly doubt what I'm doing professionally before I joined this made me on the good side of any legal judgment. So,
Serena pipes up. Why, I'm cool as a cucumber, I am. Well, best not talk about cucumbers, then I'll get hot.
And
you need to stop.
Nayu shares that, you know, I recently came out of the Thieves Guild. So that might tell you something about my inclinations.
Are we all some kind of criminal except for like Apollo?
Well, don't write him off completely. Apollo, you've committed some minor infractions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think in that moment, Apollo he shrugs a little bit and then almost kind of shamefully nods a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, I've done some things, but from where I'm from, as long as it's for the right purposes and you're not just, you know, out to murder somebody or something, it's not the worst thing to me."
All right.
Oh, great. So I was thinking, I don't like that Fufupa guy. He seems like a real dickhead.
Oh yes.
Also, I have a feeling that like his vision of like the Postman and the world in general absolutely sucks. And also, he's gonna try to like charge us a bunch of money every day that we're around him, so that by the time we get where we're going, his goal is that we like owe them money. I feel confident. Like I see the writing on the wall there. So, I don't think we have to do anything. I think maybe we can do something by like not doing something, if you know what I mean. Like
Uh,
the road we're on isn't exactly going to be, safe.
I feel like Catalina kind of looks to Serena and is like, did you figure anything out last night by any chance?"
Well, that one's a tough nut to crack. You might have to give me a few days, maybe a bottle of old whiskey.
I don't know. I feel like he's the type of guy that likes when you talk about the money. Like most of them are like, that can wait till the end. But I feel start with the money part.
Oh, oh, Catalina, it doesn't matter how much money he has. I wouldn't touch any of that greasy coin.
We can always wash it. We can always wash it.
Oh, there's not enough lye in the soap we have, darling.
I don't know. That's just me. I'm not saying we should put a pig down, but I'm just
Hey,
saying maybe we can like not save him if it
I
comes
don't eat
up.
pork, but I don't raise pigs.
So we're all
Not to go
agreed
all
then.
bloodthirsty on you or anything.
Well, if we're deciding right now that we're all in this together, and that we aren't kowtowing to anything that little runt says, well, I think we should all shake on it. If if that's a custom that we are all agreed to.
Fine by me. Also, slightly related is I am capable of doing that job of, scrivening. It's what I did before, so, it's not like we have to go without.
Well, look at that, a built-in replacement. Well, the road may be long, but that just means there's plenty of danger. And Serena, flicks her nose and winks both of her eyes rapidly.
So she blinks.
No, she's doing each one individually.
I'm sure I'm gonna fail this, but just on the off chance, I also would like to just kind of like look around and make sure that the captain and Fufupa are not looking for us yet.
Oh yeah, I
No.
wanted to check in on the other
That's
people
only a
around
10.
us.
Yeah, Glemma and Knock Knock are tending to the fire. Hufupa is inside the wagon with the captain, probably counting torches. Doing their menial duties prior to you guys hitting the road.
All right. I got a natural 20. I want to use it on insight and see if Glemma and Knock Knock are listening to us. And if they are listening to us, what's the vibe?
Glemma is listening. Knock Knock is sort of just like skipping around, sort of picking up twigs and throwing them, and then picking up a rock and admiring it. With a nat 20, you can tell that Glemma has been listening to everything and hasn't raised any kind of noise, alarm, is intentionally acting normal.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay. Well, this is big stuff. It is the fate of the Beast Wilds, and it has somehow trickled down into the responsible hands of these fine folks. So, as you all have allowed the silence to hang heavy, a tacit agreement forms. The details of which known to each of you in your hearts, perhaps, but not made explicit out loud just yet. And the captain opens one of the portholes in the wagon, attempts to stick her head out. Her hat gets caught. She takes the hat off, sticks her head out, pushes her hand through the porthole, unrolls the hat, puts the hat back on. Okay, we're almost done in here, counting up everything. Got some bad news. We're running low on torches. So we're gonna go half torches until we hit the ferry. They might have some stuff for us. We can maybe do some bartering or something. Once the ferry takes us to our next stop, it's only a short distance, couple of days maybe, if all goes well until we hit Dusty Springs. Once we get there, we can rest for a little bit. So, everyone, pack up your stuff. That's getting in the wagon. I want to be out of here. Looks up at the sky. Soon. Tries to pull her head back in. Hat falls off. Fufupa comes out, picks up the hat, goes back into the wagon, hands it back to the captain. And you are all given orders to prep for travel.
So, speaking of exactly that, with the sap that I have distilled down, I'm assuming there's the good product, i.e. the ink, that has come off of that.
Yes.
The rest of it, the pitch and or tar that is left over from that, I'm aware is quite flammable. Would I be aware of if that is like long burning or just easily combustible?
It's easily combustible. It is somewhat long burning. And the torches that you are currently affixing to the sides of your wagon so that you have some light are pitch torches. So strips of cloth which have been rolled or soaked in this pitch tar, and then wrapped around a stick, so that the cloth burns and the stick doesn't.
Okay, so is this the kind of thing that I could use the remnants of that to compensate for our lack of torches, then?
Yeah.
Or would I have gotten enough of it, I guess is the better question.
Yeah, with a 22, I would say that the distillation went great. Have perfected your pine sap boiling skills. Give me a D4, and we'll add that many torches to the mix.
I got a 2.
Awesome. All right. 2 more torches. Each of those torches will probably burn for about an hour. So you've given yourself another couple of hours of light. It might just be what you need to get to the end of the road. And Apollo, do you keep those torches in the wagon, on yourself, or somewhere else?
I think I would probably put one on the wagon, and then keep the other one with me just on the off chance that we need it. And I think I'd probably kind of play it off as I used what was left to make the one and just kind of have the other one aside. I think I wouldn't be trying to hide it from anybody within the inner group here. But as far as, Hafupa and the rest of them, like, and like, he's not, obviously the greatest at hiding things, but like just enough that it's like, oh, look, hey, look, I made this one, just this one by itself.
I'm
And then
standing
kind of put that
directly
with
in
the
front
rest.
of Apollo so no one can see him make the second one.
Yeah, make a deception check with advantage. So, or Apollo, make a deception check, and Catalina, roll a deception check also. We'll take the higher of the two.
Would I be able to swing a stealth or sleight of hand check?
Yeah, I'll say, yeah, give me either of those.
In that case, I've got a 15 on the die for a 22.
Okay, 22
Oh,
is
that's
pretty
going to
good.
be better than mine. I got a 14, so.
Okay. 22 is better than any of the passive perception of the people who might care. So you're able to, Catalina with her large frame, and Apollo isn't short, but Apollo's on the leaner side. So you create a nice, hey, better door than a window, buddy. And you're able to just sort of hide the fact that you've stashed a torch, an emergency torch. And
Perfect.
as you are all making ready to begin your continued journey along the post road, you hear the sizzling hisses of some errant raindrops as they hit the ashes of the cook fire. Glemma and Knock Knock clean up the cooking equipment, scour it, and load it into the wagon. The ashes of the fire cool, and the shadows creep in from the trees just a little bit closer. The torches are lit and put on the wagons, and you begin your journey continuing along the post road. You are still sort of riding alongside of the crick, so you hear all of these, insects and frogs and birds from deep inside of this lush, marshy, vegetative place. And as the rain picks up, you all start to realize that the road is going to start to get a little muddy. I would like everyone to please make perception checks.
Yeah, best skill here. Got a hot -1.
A 21.
It's technically an 11, but my passive is 14 if you want to be nice.
So it's an 11.
That's a 9 from Everard.
And 14 from Niall.
Okay. So, Catalina, you're you're pretty busy making sure that Saucy is keeping a good and even pace, pulling the wagon forward. And Serena is asking you 1.5 million questions. You know, oh, what are we gonna do when we get to my folks' place? Who do you want to see first? Maybe we should go dancing. When was the last time we went dancing? Oh, do you remember that boy? Wait, oh no, never mind. Do you remember that lady? Everard, you are, face deep in notes, considering everything that you've just read from the scroll. But Nail, as the water drops fall, and you very subtly adjust yourself and your walking pace to avoid certain drops, you notice the firelight starting to flicker on the side of the road off of something, some material, which is natural but definitely designed. And you start to see the shadow of a large figure, a statue, appear. And Apollo, as you are sort of the forward scout for the group, you're further ahead, just outside of the firelight. You come upon the statue first, and you see the statue sort of a heroic pose. Its head has been shorn off, and it's about 15 foot tall, sitting in that crevice of the neck with the heroic arms raised up. There's a figure, a hooded figure. What do you do?
Am I closer to the group or the figure in front of us?
You're definitely closer to the figure atop of this statue. The closest person to you would be Nail, followed by Catalina, Serena, and Saucy. Everard is probably bringing up the rear.
So I think Apollo would probably give a pretty good whistle, and kind of gesture loosely back to Nail, just as kind of like a hey, there's something up ahead, hoping to very least draw everyone's attention to it, knowing he probably doesn't have time to double back and avoid confrontation at this point. So at the very least, he wants to kind of embrace it and potentially make the others aware that this is about to happen.
All right, yeah. Nail, you hear a whispered, or not a whistled signal from Apollo. What do you do?
Okay, I had already seen some glimmer of this thing in the distance. So when Apollo indicates that he has noticed something has come to his notice, I draw up alongside of him to see what's going on, see if I can see it, and provide any kind of support that the two of us might do together.
Yeah, so Nail approaches Apollo. The two of you are now standing at the foot of this massive 15-foot statue, this headless statue, whose head is now supplanted by a hooded figure. The rain creates a murmur, a hum, that makes all sound is a little dampened, right? Everything's a little obscured. So the figure who's up atop it, bowed, hooded head, seems to be looking straight down at you, but hasn't done anything, hasn't said anything, just kind of neutral position as the two of you look up at this statue. And Nail, you notice now that that glittering from the firelight is a little more intense as the wagon draws closer. And this stone seems to be flecked with little flakes of metallic gold, giving it a lustrous quality. So yeah, Apollo and Nail, you are here now at the foot of this statue. You see the figure at the top. Everyone else is slowly approaching. You can wait for them to approach, or you can engage with the figure.
Okay. Nail has the small crossbow
Yes.
in his right hand, and it is sort of down by his side, but it's loaded and cocked. And he just reaches out to touch the statue to see what this thing is, what it feels like, if the flecks of gold are embedded in it, or if they're loose or anything like that. So he just kind of explores it with his hand.
Yeah, you can tell that this statue used to be painted, and it was painted gold. So the flecks that are still on the outside of the surface, that you feel like Nail, with maybe just a knife, you could scrape it. What's left might take you a bit, might not be worth your time, might just. But it is the remnants of gold paint on this statue, which otherwise is carved of stone. So it's cool to the touch. Raindrops falling now, starting to roll down its surface. Some of them coming off on your hand. You can tell that you're getting closer to heavier rain as you move down the road.
And I think while he's doing that, Apollo, being the ever so slightly socially oblivious, would just kind of put a hand up to his mouth and yell up to the guy, "Hey, what's your name?"
Yeah. Who goes there?
Well, I'm Apollo. I'm with the Post. Who are you?
I'm Scobie. Scobie Imnimson. It's nice to meet you. Sorry, didn't hear you there. Kind of count of the rain. And the figure pulls back their hood, and their eyes are closed. They sort of open them and tilt their head from side to side, trying to sort of echolocate, which is when you realize that this person is blind. Also, it is a purple-skinned elf. This is a dark elf. Well, it's been a bit cloudy, huh?
So Nail says, yells up to him, in Elvish, "How did you get up there?"
He shouts back, in Elvish, "Oh, cousin, hey, well, I've been a climber since I was a littling. Well, this here," and he sort of slaps down on one of the biceps. "This is my old friend Cormac. Yeah, I knew him when he was alive, but well, he's gone and lost his head, so I thought I'd sit here and think for him. And what's your name, friend?"
Nail.
Oh, well, we're both a bit of a night breeze now, aren't we? All right.
I'd say.
Where is you travelers? Is you lost? Which brings you down the road?
Well, like I said, we're with the Post, so just out making some deliveries. Kind of came by here, wanted to make sure you're all right. I mean, you're kind of just precariously perched up there.
Oh, sure. Well, it helps me think, It's a pensive place. Maybe 'cause it's where his head used to be. Well, that's all right. I'm fine. I've been traveling these roads for quite some time now. You ain't got to worry about me, youngster.
Nail
Well,
says, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Absolutely.
What kinds of things do you think about?
Oh, thinking about a lot lately. You know, I grew up in Dusty Springs. weren't born there, but yeah, I, I've heard some things. I like to travel south every season of storms. Uh, Sit here for a little while, visit with my friend, and well, I just like to think about the old days. Yeah, but boy, it's sure been cloudy for the last few weeks.
I think he's talking about the sky.
He is blind.
Oh no, I know that part, but like I feel like this man has like wherewithal that we're not realizing he has, even though he's being a little silly. And I'm just kind of like, he knows what's going on. He knows what's up.
The rest of the wagon, I think, has had time to catch up, and so now the captain is. "Eh, Come on, what's going on? Oh, look. Looks at Apollo. Wait, what? Why are we stopped, huh? You there, old timer. Looks at Nayo. We got some weirdo distracting my crew. I can't have this.
And so Nail says, we're just trying to figure out what this guy's up to and why he's sitting up on top of this statue. To see if he can offer some information, any kind of information that might be useful.
Oh, sure. Well, I've traveled these roads quite a bit, and well, I ain't never heard of no postman going through the creek. I wouldn't recommend it.
How long you been sitting up there, old timer?
Oh, just a few days now. Uh, Thankfully, the gardens around here is quite rich. The creek provides.
Gardens, you able to point us in the direction just so we can, make sure we got enough to get up to the next post there?
Yeah, he said, well, look around you, friend. Well, something I couldn't do, but I like to use my nose. Ah, the smell of sweet mint, the must of finger beans. Why, if you get close, you smell the perfume of them little flowers for the blood yams. You gotta dig a little bit, but you get a nice little tater, mash it up, boil it, stick it in a stew. It's good eating.
He's not wrong. And then she kind of looks at the captain and she's like, how about this? We stop for a very, very short amount of time. I'll keep us on track. Don't worry. And just pick up some food. We're low. I've been keeping count. We have 1 unit left. We gotta figure something out. Or you're gonna go hungry, and I'm gonna go hungry. And I feel like you don't want to go hungry, and I'm not fun when I'm hungry. So we can figure this out.
The dark elf on top of the statue sort of butts in. Well, I found a nice little berry patch. It's in the woods a bit. Well, I could take one of you, but not too many. You don't want to trample none. Any volunteers?
Annalena immediately looks at Havupa like sacrifice.
No, I have to recount the torches. And Hufupa goes to hide inside of the wagon. Oh, sure. Count the torches alone, will ya? And the captain follows Hufupa. All right, look, we'll stop for a little bit, figure it out. It's not a terrible idea to take on some extra food. But look, we gotta get to that ferry crossing. It's It's starting to get wet out here, and it's only gonna get worse as the season of storms ticks on.
I think Apollo would probably go to Catalina specifically and go, hey, you know what? If there's blood yams around here, maybe we can get Saucy to help us dig them up. If we unhook and we go with a small Saucy and maybe can play truffle pig, if you will.
You're smarter than you give yourself credit for. And Catalina is going to just start unhooking Saucy.
Serena leans in.
Does Saucy have any reaction to the figure on the statue?
I'm actually going to leave that up to Catalina. Catalina, do you think Saucy reacts in any way?
I feel like typical ill new person reaction. Um, but I feel like once we get him small and closer to whoever this guy is, he will let us know whether this is a person to trust or not.
I would say that I don't think Saucy has had any aggressive reactions towards the person. Scoby.
I love that that name is Scobie. Love that.
Here, I have to go adjusting all my notes because it sounded like you said Scooby
That's
in that guy's vernacular.
Scoby Yim Nim Sim
Okay.
is the full name. Because I cannot name anyone anything normal. Yeah,
Well.
so Scoby.
But you're looking at Big Dog Elder Tingle over here, all right?
Scoby, the blind drow, has said that he thinks he knows where he could show someone a big berry patch, but best to only take one person so as not to disturb the forest too much. And the rest of you are afforded a break here by the statue.
I think Apollo would kind of throw his name into the ring. He's like, I don't mind going with him. I feel like I have a decent idea of most of the plants around here, but also may be beneficial to help harvest the more bountiful things around here. I guess it's kind of, whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna crush something. I'm going to break a plant, and I don't want to anger anybody. So, and then Catalina kind of like pulls an extra piece of fabric off of Serena's bountiful skirt. She's like, "Okay, you don't need this." Um,
Oi! I was using that.
sure you were. And she ties it around Saucy's stomach as like big while he's still big. So, ties it around his stomach and is like thick, and he shrinks down, and now he has like a little pouch. It's like here, any extra stuff can fit in that.
Serena admires her new, slightly shorter skirt. You
And
know,
Nayo wonders about the wisdom of splitting the group, particularly just sending one person into the woods with someone we just met.
We gave him the dog. So,
Okay.
okay.
I do get what you mean though. Splitting the party sounds dangerous.
I mean, what? It's not like these woods are dark and full of terrors.
So nothing has ever gone wrong in D&D when you split the party, okay? I'm 99% sure that's true.
I wouldn't know. I've never played.
What's this? Who are you?
As someone who's been punished by splitting the party by you, I don't believe that.
All right, so it sounds like Apollo is going to take Lil Saucy to the woods to look for some berries, and leave the rest of y'all to rest at the foot of this previously much gilded statue. So, if folks who are staying behind would like to get up to anything, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see what old Scobie Yimninson has to show. All right.
So Nail is still curious about the flex on the statue, so he takes one of his daggers and sort of chips a few little chips of stuff off of it, puts it in his pouch.
And I think as an experienced thief, I think Nail would suspect that this is a type of gold, which is commonly found on magical things or very important objects, known as old gold. But without testing it somehow or using magic in some way to elicit a response, you won't really be able to tell.
Okay, I don't have detect magic. That's not something that I can do. But I'd like to do an investigation check.
Sure. I'd also say a successful Arcana check might give you more information about it too, if someone is trained in Arcana.
Let's see, my investigation skill is higher than the Arcana, but it's pretty good too. I'll try the Arcana.
Sure.
That's a 15 on the dice for 18 total.
Yeah, with an 18, I think you start to suspect, Nail, that the flecks of gold that you are scraping off of this statue is a type of paint made from agrosty glitter. The flecks of gold which are harvested in the city of Agros and which are used to make this type of gold paint to adorn precious objects with. It is known to have some minor magical qualities, given that this statue has kind of been worn down quite a bit. You think that maybe whatever is left is pretty minuscule in terms of its magic. But this is the exact type of gold material that you would use to make the style of ink used in the scroll that Apollo had shared with the group.
Could it be powdered up and mixed with the golden pine sap distillation to make it even more likely that it would match what's on the vellum?
I think absolutely. I think that if you mix these two together, it would be pretty easy for you to dupe the ink that is on the writ. I would say I'll call it a DC 10 if or when you'd like to try.
Okay.
Nail will probably have to wait for Apollo to get back from his berry picking excursion.
Okay. That's all I got.
And then, yeah, while he's headed off, this is not going to take long, but I think at this point Everard is like just looking over like the camp supplies and the cart and like the harness that Saucy gets attached to, and just checking things for like minor wear and tear, and is trying to like look like he's just normally sort of, repairing any damage that might come up. He is attempting to sort of surreptitiously use mending to fix anything.
All right, so I want you to make either a I'm going to say investigation check on the wagon in order to see if
4.
there's. Okay. Yeah.
Put that on with the bats.
I think you're just kind of like,
Everything looks fine.
Yeah, this is good. You're feeling everything, but you're not really paying attention. I don't think Everard would notice anything. It's you know,
I mean, it's early, but it's just sort of.
it's early in the trip. You probably haven't worn down that much. Besides having to fashion Saucy's harness from spare rope and things, you haven't really had to mend anything.
All right, very good.
All right. So with that, Scoby scrambles down the front of this statue, this headless statue, as Nail is scraping flecks of paint down into a pouch to collect. Everard is pawing the wagon, and Apollo, you grab a little leash for a little Saucy, and Scoby reaches out a hand, the other one holding a walking stick, and puts it on your shoulder. Well, okay now. Show what we're gonna do, and takes the stick and taps the back of the statue. Okay, so we're gonna go this way through these trees here. There's gonna be a little bit of a little trail, little animal trail. We're just gonna listen, okay? So why don't you just walk right beside me now, and we're gonna go get some berries.
Well, it's been nice knowing you.
So Scoby leads Apollo into the darkness, past some trees, along a narrow animal trail, deep into the woods and out of sight. As Apollo leads Saucy into the woods, Saucy is becoming more alert, sniffing things, rooting around occasionally, listening, and then continuing on. And so far, all you really hear is this dull pitter-patter of rain on leaves. The forest is dense. Scoby, with his hand on your shoulder and his walking stick sort of prodding the ground in front of him, leads you along a dry path until you get to a lower lying area where the rainwater is starting to fill up. The ground is getting marshy, and there are all of these thick, chest-high bramble bushes with thorns as long as daggers. And Scoby reaches out with his stick and kind of pokes the bushes, and you can see them shake. And with your dark vision, you notice tiny little balls that fall from the bushes. And Saucy kind of leans forward and grabs one gingerly in his front teeth and puts it in your palm. And Apollo is holding a bright red, perfectly round berry. The same type of berry that he had picked during one of the boot camp exercises that y'all had gone on. And you would know this as a good berry. So you see, there's plenty here. They all ripen up during the season of storms. It's good eats. you could stay here eating these berries for days and days and days. You might get a little tired of the taste, but it's all sweet and good to me. But you help yourself now. You take as much as you need. Well, I'm sure you got a long road ahead, friend.
Yeah, so I think Apollo will carefully collect, a fair few of these if he can, but also he probably is going to be looking for the largest of the thorns, and will try and cut some of those out and carefully collect them and stow them in his pouch for the moment.
Yeah, give me a nature or a survival check. Just be careful now. I always like to use the stick. Them thorns is no joke.
Let's see, 17 on the die, plus 5 for 22 total.
Yeah, with a 22, you're able to take just about whatever you'd like without, any unnecessary cuts or piercing. If you had to define a length of thorned material that Apollo was harvesting, about how much do you think he would want?
I think he would probably end up taking probably like a 3 foot chunk. I'm thinking probably about the size of one of his arrows, and for the moment he would just kind of stash it within his quiver, and then collect, the handful of berries that he can fit within the piece of cloth that we used to take Saucy with me.
Yeah, so you stuff Saucy's pouch full of berries, and I will say that you have successfully collected 1 unit of rations.
And I think with that, I would probably end up taking the cloth off of Saucy and carry it myself, and then that would kind of freeze him up to be able to move and what have.
Yeah, so you gather a good fistful of thorns and thorny material, a unit of rations worth of good berries that you can travel with, and that should keep fairly well. And as you do, Scoby just sort of listens, taps his stick on the ground from time to time, and starts to give you some travel advice. Well, now, if you listen just right, I always figure out where to go by the sound of the frogs. They never lead you wrong, and I don't know if you know this, but all the frogs in this here part of the world, why, they're all just like me. Elves that moved on to the next stage of their living as tiny little creatures here in the wilds. So, it's a bit like getting some help from your friends that have moved on. And if you don't hear no frogs, well, it's probably because you're in a place that's not very nice. And as you sit and listen, you can hear the beep, 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 of various kinds of frogs who have all made their homes in the thorny brambles of the goodberries. Yep, they never lead me wrong. You see, the bushes keep them safe, and well, they love the rain from all the season's storms, and well, it's just about a perfect place for them. And they don't mind if a few berries go missing. Well, I just want to say I don't get a chance to talk to many folks, and well, it sure has been nice to have a little bit of company. I don't know about you, but I get lonely from time to time. Did you ever get lonely, friend?
Yeah, I think while he's kind of listening and doing what have you, I think Apollo would probably reach down to just grab at least a handful more of the berries, and kind of put them in a separate sack so that he can, in an effort to kind of repay Scoby for guiding him out here, make sure that he's got some food for the journey back and what have you, as kind of a here, let me help you out as you kind of helped us out kind of thing. But then he'd kind of stand and goes, yeah, I used to be pretty close with some people, and since I left, it's just been kind of me. I mean, I feel like I'm always around people, but never really with anybody, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I understand. Sometimes you gotta go it alone even when you don't want to. Yeah, I met a feller that, well, it's gotta be some months now. He, little feller, he said he was on his way, guided by a light in the sky. Said he had a little piece of rock crystal, he said. Well, he came from some kind of mountain. Well, a bunch of goblins or something. Curious little feller. He's real nice. I miss him. I hope he's doing well. Said he was going out Agrost way. Far cry from these neck of the woods. What was his name now? Icarus, I think. Memory's not as good as used to be. Well, I sure do appreciate the berries.
Yeah, I think Apollo is kind of awestruck in that moment, just like almost dumbfounded before he finally kind of, in lack of a better word, takes his jaw up off the floor and goes, "Are you really sure that's his name?" And I don't mean to be rude, but how did you know he's a little guy? Like, how little?
Well, I can't be sure nowadays. You know how the old memory box fails you from time to time. And every night in my dreams, dream whisperers trying to steal my secrets. But that's neither here nor there. Well, I remember he's little 'cause when I leaned down on his shoulder, it weren't but down to my hip. Little feller. A sweet little guy, though. Sweeter than a good berry.
Huh.
Well,
Well,
I sure do hope he found what he was looking for.
Yeah, I hope he finds what he was looking for too. I think he even got like this kind of almost snide sense to him before he kind of shakes it off and kind of looks back. Is, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to show me the way down here. It's really going to help us out a lot on our journey.
Oh, no problem. Sometimes it's hard to know the way forward, but a little help from some friends, when we support each other, you realize we're not all going it alone. Even if we're alone at the moment, it's all of us working together to find that path towards something better. You know what I'm saying?
I think Apollo kind of takes a deep sigh before kind of nodding. Goes, yeah. I feel like I know what you're saying. I don't know that it necessarily resonates with me right now, but I get where you're coming from.
Oh, just put one foot in front of the other. You'll get there. I promise. It works for me every time. He pops a good berry, takes another one, sort of crushes it between two of his fingers, and the bright red juice he sort of paints on his face a little bit. And well, we best be getting back. The rain's not going to let up anytime soon. I think, well, it's just about time for me to be moving further south. I don't envy y'all at all, but, well, I sure do appreciate the company. And you just remember what I said. If you're ever looking for a safe place, a place maybe where you can lay your head, get a bite to eat, why, you never go wrong listening out for the frogs. But, well, they only like to croak in the dark. So, make sure you put out any lights or they probably won't let you hear them. But, well, that should be fine during the day. Well, if it ain't so cloudy as it has been. But why don't you lead me back to your friends and we can all say a proper goodbye.
Absolutely. I think Paula kind of gives a whistle for Saucy to kind of catch up to him and starts to head back.
Yeah, and you head back. The journey is uneventful, and you find everyone back at the camp taking shelter from the rain as it just keeps coming down. What's everyone else doing, if anything, as Apollo and Saucy and the mysterious blind drow Scoby Yimnimsim return?
I mean, if I'm done looking over the wagon pointlessly, he's Ever's probably writing in his journal again.
Okay.
Catalina is very, very rudely telling Serena that if you keep asking me questions, I will attempt to sleep with your brother when we get to your house. I will pick one of them.
Serena shuts her mouth.
Thank you.
All right. The Scoby pops another good berry between his teeth, chews it thoughtfully, scratches some of the berry juice off of his cheek. Well, friends, it was sure nice to meet you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing together again if we're traveling this lonesome road together. But I'm going this way, and I feel like y'all's going this way. So keep it going. Your friend's a good egg, and why, he's got a good head on his shoulders. Not like you, friend, he shouts up to the statue. He's just, listen to him, and he'll show you the way forward, I'm sure. But, well, there's steps to be taken, one foot in front of the other, and a road we will make. And he puts up his hood against the rain and begins to plod in the direction that you came from, out into the darkness. The captain and Hufupa resume their duties on the top of the wagon, haranguing all of you to do the work. And you are pushed on ever forward along the post road. The rain is unrelenting, and true to his word, his advice rings true that the rain becomes heavier and heavier as you move closer to the coast. Over the next length of your journey, you bed down and wake up once or twice, not really sure how much time has passed. And as we are approaching the coastline, where your team is going to pick up the ferry needed to bypass the creek, the road is going to get treacherous and muddy. Gusts of wind start stampeding through the treetops with the force of 30 to 50 feral hogs. Sheets of rain are falling down on you from the shadowed skies. The torches start to flicker, and some of them go out. You replace the wet ones with the dry ones that you have on hand, but it becomes clear that torches just aren't going to last in this intense rainstorm. The captain starts to shout at you above the gusts and the pounding of the rain as the last torch finally sizzles out. We know that there is one dry torch in Apollo's bag. The rest of them that you had on hand are now all wet and useless. Eventually, in the darkness, you hit a snag. A little bit of mud starts to suck up one of the wagon wheels, and the gusts start blowing harder and heavier so that it's almost impossible to hear the captain unless they're shouting directly at you. And Captain Granelthy does begin to shout, The wheel's stuck in the mud! The torches are going out! I can't see the road! Look, there's widowmakers hanging over. Any gust could knock them down on top of us. We gotta drive this wagon to the ferry, or this storm's gonna batter us all to bits. It's gonna soak right through the wagon, and all our food is gonna be rotten. Alright, this is it. We are doing one last push to the coast. No sleep until we get to the ferry. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do a skill challenge. I'd like to take a quick 5-minute break so we can do a bio break, get some water, snacks, things like that, do a little bit of a stretch. But when we come back, we are going to do a skill challenge for you guys to drive this wagon through the storm to get to the ferry that you need to get to. It's going to be 3 successes before you get 3 failures. and I'll recap all of this again when we come back, but just for you to think about. Uh, every failure that you have is going to cause a save against exhaustion. So even if you succeed, for every failure, you're all going to have to make a con save against being exhausted. If you fail the skill check, that is, if you get 3 failures before you get 3 successes, then your travel die is going to be incremented up at the end of this session, meaning that it's taking you longer to get where you're going. Nat 20s will equal 2 successes, Nat 1s will equal 2 failures. You may only use skills that your character is proficient in. I don't mind if you use the same skill as another person, as long as you are describing how it will help you drive the wagon through the storm. So we are going to take just a few minute break. It's 7:47. How is 7:50 for everyone?
Fine to me.
Works for
Okay.
me.
All right. We will be back in just a few short minutes, everyone, to see if we can drive this wagon forward. All right. We will see you soon.
Very good.
And we're back. Okay.
And all your cameras moved.
Yeah, sorry. We all
Oh my
turned our
God, I
cameras
hit
off and then
so.
moved.
Well, okay. So here's
Uh-oh.
here's what we're gonna do. You all have to play new characters.
Okay. Right.
No, that's not true. We're not doing that. But we are back. While I fix some cameras, I'm just going to very quickly recap the rules of the skill challenge that we are about to embark on. And then I think I have to do bam, bam. Yes, okay. I think face cams are fixed. Are they?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay. Whew. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We are about to embark on a skill challenge. Our misfit heroes are driving a wagon in the season of storms, and they have hit their first storm, a massive rainstorm, a monsoon-like a weather pattern, which they are driving towards as they get closer to the coastline where they can pick up a ferry to take them to their next destination. In this skill challenge, our heroes must get 3 successes before 3 failures. Some additional rules. If there is a failure, for every failure after the skill challenge is over, the whole party will have to make 1 exhaustion save, or a con save against exhaustion. And remember, we have new exhaustion, modified exhaustion rules, so exhaustion hits a little bit harder, a little bit faster for everyone. Second, nat 20s will mean 2 successes, and nat 1s will mean 2 failures. And if you hit 3 failures and you fail the skill challenge, you will still get to your destination, but the travel die that we roll at the end of the session will go up 1 increment. So it will be sitting from wherever the baseline was plus 1, to represent the fact that it's taking you just a little bit longer to get where you're going. So as we begin our stressful drive through the storm, let's talk skill proficiencies. Each of you has characters with skill proficiencies and different skills. Those are the skills that you may use in order to succeed potentially at the skill challenge. So review your character skills. What we're going to do is I'm going to have everyone roll initiative, and in initiative order, we will have you each announce what you are doing and what the skill roll you made was. And the DC for this challenge is going to be 12. So if you roll a 12 or better, you succeeded, and I want you to describe it for me. If you roll an 11 or worse, you failed, and I want you to describe it for me. So, first things first, everybody please roll initiative.
12.
Ooh, hot 12.
Also a 12.
Also a 12. I think that...
I got a nat 20.
Nice.
Catalina. Nat
Total
20.
of 22.
And 14 from Niall.
14.
Why are you the only person that got a nat 20 and sound disappointed?
Because I'm bad at anything useful for this. I think investigation is the only hope I have. So I really didn't want to go first. I was hoping you would all beat me and use all of your great survival skills, and I wouldn't have to do anything because I'm terrible at this.
You're a thinker. You're thinking.
Yeah, I'm out of my element here.
So, to set the scene again, the captain has cried out as the last torch sizzles in the dark rain, leaving you all now suspended in permanent pitch black darkness. You have no light. You are driving into the mud. The rain is falling harder and the wind is gusting. The captain is shouting, "We have to drive forward!" Everard, how do you help to drive the wagon forward?
Okay. Oh. I mean, the only skill I have is investigation. um, that I think could be useful. So I think I'm gonna try to use investigation to like look for like just to try to help us avoid like some of the like most like basically I'm trying to shoot for like parts of the road that are less likely to get the wagon stuck by trying to like look around and see and investigate like what is gonna have like the least sticky mud.
Okay,
You know.
we're looking for dry ground that we can roll the wagon down, or at least the least wet, least muddy path that we
Yeah.
can guide Saucy forward. So what did Everard roll for that investigation check?
Well, I'm gonna roll it now.
And the DC again is 12.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's a nat 20.
Oh, awesome.
Unbelievable.
Everard.
You probably can't see this, right? Right there.
I can't, but if I can't trust my best friend of 20 years, who can I trust?
I hope everyone at home can
No
see that.
one. You can't trust anyone. With a nat 20.
Oh my god! I rolled it on this. I debated rolling the same dice because like I rolled a 20 on it. It's gonna betray me now, but I was like, no, we're gonna go for it. And the little fucker came through.
Love it.
Oh, I was gonna spend inspiration on it if I failed anyway.
So yeah, Everard, you step in front of the wagon to test the ground ahead of Saucy, to find the safest, least muddy, least complicated route. Yeah, with a nat 20, what do you think happens?
I think maybe I realized like the direction of the wind and like the height of a trees at a certain angle offers like a tiny little strip of protection on like one side of the road, and so Ever's just like yelling like, over there to the left, it's like a little drier, I guess.
And yeah, the captain shouts back, "What?" as you drive the wagon under some screening trees where the road is still held intact. As you do, you actually hit a little bit more speed on this dry ground, as you can feel the road actually starting to slope down towards the coast. And you're able to make really good time. As Nail, you're up next. How does Nail help to drive the wagon on? And with the nat 20, that is 2 successes, which means if Nail succeeds, you will have successfully driven on.
Okay. So this is a either or, right?
In terms of success or failure, you mean?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is everyone is going to do a skill test. We're still going to count any failures, but if Nail succeeds, then it doesn't matter if someone else fails. You won't have taken more time to get there.
I got that. So is this one roll for the skill set and then one roll for the... I'm a little bit confused about that.
It's a skill challenge, so you're gonna look at your skill proficiencies, Dad, and pick one that you think would be relevant to helping us navigate this hurricane whilst on a wagon going through a swampland.
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever
Well,
you're and you can
thing-
only use stuff that you're proficient in.
Only stuff that I'm proficient in. Okay.
And the DC is 12.
Yes. So just
Well-
as a for instance, if Nail were trained in athletics, Nail could then use their natural athleticism to push the wagon out of a potentially bad rut. Something like that.
Right. Well, my athletics, I'm not... My athletics skill is 1, and I'm not proficient in it. I'm proficient in acrobatics. I don't know how that would help. other than that if I took a running start and did a couple of flips and then kicked the wagon, I can try that.
Yeah.
So,
So the wagon has picked up speed from Everard's redirecting it onto the side of the post road, but you hit a rut, and everyone is straining. Nail, you've taken a few good steps back to get a running start. Tell us what it looks like as you do your thing to get this wagon out of a rut.
okay. Well, Nail is strong looking, but kind of tall and skinny, and he looks sort of funny as he does a couple of forward tumbles and a handspring, and then he rotates he does the last rotation exactly right so that his feet hit the back of the wagon to hopefully push it forward a bit. So let me see what I'm going to roll here. Oh, no, that was a 3.
Oh no! So
Nail just falls in the mud.
you all see Nail completely composed, perfectly balanced. Take a few steps back, begin to pick up speed step by step, the stride getting longer and faster as he leaps up out of the mud. But at the last minute, his foot kind of slips and his weight goes funny, and he's just sort of tumbles through the mud. He hits the wagon. The wagon does rock just enough that everyone's able to push it up out of the rut. Nail, unfortunately, has a wounded pride. That will be 1 failure for the skill test. We have 2 successes and 1 failure as Apollo attempts to drive the wagon on.
Yeah, so I think seeing Nail slip in the mud kind of gives Apollo the thought. And I think he's going to try and grab at least, a handful of larger leaves and attempt to slip them in front of the tires so that the wheels rather, so that the cart can then slide and we can use the mud to our advantage rather than fighting against it.
Ooh, all right, yeah. Hit me with a check.
So I rolled a survival check and got a 24 total.
All right, tell me what happens as Apollo scoops up fistfuls of leaves from the ditches on the side of the road.
Yeah, I think he's very much going, bobsled team here, where he's just trying to get the leaves under the wheels here and just trying to throw them under as quick as they can. So the next time it lurches forward, they can give one big push and just take advantage of the mud itself and get this whole thing going downhill like a sled.
Yeah, the wagon wheels, they start to lock a little bit. These big soggy clumps of leaves, big red leaves like handprints. You stuff them up against the slick mud that sticks to the edge of the wheel, and you form this sort of, like you said, almost like a sleigh-like bottom. And now you're picking up crazy speed. As the wheels lock, you are all sort of pressured to jump on and hug through the spokes to stay onto the wagon.
I really am imagining that we're running it off like an actual bobsled team, and I want to know who's in the back as the anchor. Is it Big Saucy or is it Catalina? Who's the weight driving this from the back? Because it's not Everard, obviously. That little bitch is in the front.
Yeah, I think Everard's feet are fully sideways as he's hanging on.
Oh.
But yeah, Apollo turns your entire wagon into a mud sleigh as you begin to pick up crazy speed going towards the coast. That is the 3rd success. As Catalina, you are there to potentially drive it even faster further on to your destination, or potentially add a little bit of difficulty along the way.
I do have one final question about the mudsledding situation, which is, do any Crick Elves witness this, and have we just invented the new national sport of mudsledding for all of the Crick Elves in the Crick?
You know,
Hey, storm season bobsledding.
Fingers crossed, everybody.
I just rolled a nat 20, so I feel like I gotta give that to you. As you start to zoom past this final little branch of the creek, you do start to see some of those telltale little flickering blue peat flames, and shouting over the gale, "Well, I ain't seen something that greased up since I tried to catch a lightning fish, and I went all slippery in the marsh." And whoosh, you whiz past a bunch of crick elves sort of hiding under large branches of trees, trying to stay dry as they cheer you on. You're picking up speed. And you've certainly given them a new idea for a national pastime.
All that for us.
All right, Catalina.
All right, so I feel like Saucy is obviously in the front, like running, like actively just like running.
Mush.
And I'm gonna use animal handling because surprisingly I don't have proficiency in any strength stuff, despite having an 18 for strength.
Ooh.
So animal handling, perfect, gets me a 22. And I'm just giving Saucy, like, direction. Like, all right, keep going forward, let's go.
All right. Yeah, Saucy it is blessed with having untrimmed wolf claws that give it plenty of traction in this mud. And now that there's way less friction on the wagon, it's nothing for Saucy. This horse-sized wolf that you guys have ensorcelled to be your draft animal, and new mascot of the team, is loving being able to just full out sprint through the storm, really calling to its inner, animal instinct. And that is another success. As you guys start to whip a little bit through the even muddier downslide to the coast, you begin to see that the road is narrowing, and that steadily you are approaching what looks like hazy lantern light in the distance. And so as you do, you all see again this sort of hazy halo of a lantern being sort of shaken back and forth, and it's being held by a small individual, barely about 3 feet tall. The lantern's only just above their head, but you can see that they are wearing a gray tabard with a golden sigil of the Postmen, and you can't hear them over the gale until you get close enough, but they are waving you towards them.
Bro, we have to yell at them to get out of the way because we didn't account for brakes.
I think Saucy is strong enough to gently grind the wagon to a halt as you hit some grassier terrain and the leaves on the wagons start to scuff off, and your wagon is returned to normal non-sledding surface.
Well, then that was exactly as calculated, of course.
Saucy Tokyo drifts us to a stop.
Yeah, you the whole wagon, a wagon big enough for 8 people, just slips perfectly sideways. One of the portholes opens up, and Hufupa, who was hiding inside the whole time, looks out. "Oh, wonderful! We have made it to the ferry landing." And you see that the individual holding the lantern is accompanied by another. They are both, again, wearing these ponchos with the Postman sigil. as they get closer, you can kind of tell that these are not standard issue uniforms. They are soggy and damp, and the gold sigil of the Postmen seems to be running a little bit in the rain, in the heavy rain. As a halfling and a dwarf approach you, the halfling is holding the lantern, and the dwarf is just walking up to the wagon to sort of inspect it, waiting for the halfling to speak, which he does. He addresses the captain. Oh, okay then. now we gotta get you onto the barge. Well, yeah, and we'll get you out of the rain. Well, we're the ferry contractors, so just you can follow us. Ah, thank gosh. Well, this is great. Saints above. All right, everyone.
Catalina is immediately suspicious, and I'm just gonna roll for intimidation.
Oh yeah. You want to intimidate the halfling or the captain?
The halfling.
Okay.
Oh, thank God. Okay. That's gonna be a 22.
Yeah. What is?
Oh wait, no, not a 22. It's +4. A 23.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say that that's pretty scary. What does Catalina do in the face of this halfling?
She kind of like hops off the back of the wagon and kind of looks at the running uniform and is like, "You die?"
Well, not yet. It's kind of my job to make sure that doesn't happen. But I'm not a doctor.
Not you die. I said you die. Your uniform's running.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we were in a hurry. Just got this job. Couldn't wait for the uniforms. You understand?
Or
I think with that being pointed out, Apollo would knock on the carriage to get Hafupa's attention and point out that they're definitely not wearing standard issued uniforms, and that's probably worth a fine.
Yeah, Hufupa looks him over. Give me a persuasion check, Ace, for Apollo.
Oh, well, I'm not good at persuasion.
I'm going to say it's
can
going to
my
be pretty
can my
easy.
intimidation help?
It's a 13.
Yeah. So you tell Hufupa that there's something funny going on. These are not standard issue. He looks at the dwarf that has up till now just been completely silent. Says, "You there? You should know better. You are wasting value. You have counterfeit uniforms, and they must be burned." The other dwarf goes, "Oh, well, I didn't know. I'm still quite new to this. He looks at the halfling, and the halfling kind of steps in. He's like, well, we'll get that all sorted out once we get you onto the barge. It's getting real damp out here, and well, I'm not a doctor, but we could catch a cold."
And Nail wants to do an insight check.
All right, give me an insight check.
That is a 16 plus 3 is a 19.
Yeah, so you are looking at these two with their BS postman uniforms, and they're waiting out here in the rain by the side of the road. Clearly they were expecting something or someone, and it was probably postmen by their uniforms. They are, if they were selected to sit out here to wait for people in the dark, in the rain, you can probably assume that they're not in charge. They definitely are not professional, and they absolutely seem to care way more about getting the wagon out of the rain than to address any of you as individuals.
You guys got a captain?
Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, good old Soggy, Salguscio, our captain.
You're gonna say soggy boots?
Oh, sure, I'm sure your boots are wet out here in the mud. Well, we got dry boots, in the ferry. You can tell he's saying whatever he has to say to get you to come with him.
Alita just kind of looks at everybody else like, are we gonna believe this or are we walking straight to the pirate? Like, she didn't say this out loud, but like,
Okay, so here's a random question. What is Everard like? How do halflings like view one another in this world and society? Is there any sort of like little person kinship, or is it just like purely like I don't know this guy from Adam? You know, like because Everard, if there is any sort of like camaraderie generally amongst halflings and the little folk, then Everard might attempt to sort of like talk to this guy. But if such a thing doesn't exist really, then Everard would know that. You know what I mean? So, but I Pixel don't know that.
Yeah, as a halfling, halflings are pretty much distributed fairly widely because they're not good at sitting still. In the Beast Wilds, they like to be out and about. So you'll see a halfling minority just about everywhere in the Beast Wilds. They're travelers. You can think of them as having kind of like permanent ADHD. They're always sort of looking for their next hyperfixation. And definitely because of that, there is a sort of mutual understanding between small folk. You can tell that this particular halfling is on the less sophisticated side. Definitely someone who has spent their time doing more hedonism than learning.
Gotcha. How do I interact with this guy? I think Everard just sort of pipes up and says, "Oh, well, hey there, friend."
Oh, hey there! Well, it's nice to see you, fellow. Wait, are you a doctor by chance?
No, I'm a scribe.
Oh, good. I'm not a doctor either. Well, hey, well, does that mean you can read and write?
Yep.
Oh, gee, that's pretty cool. Hey, we think there's something special happening soon. We could use someone write up maybe like a little thank you card, sign people's names for them. Wouldn't that be cool?
Possibly.
Well,
I guess it depends on who you're thanking and what for.
oh, it's just our boss's anniversary, and we just all us boys, we wanted to chip in and do something special. You know how it goes. Anyway, I'm Meatbone. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Meatbone. I'm Everard.
That's a fancy name. I like that.
Well, they gave it to me when I learned how to read. That's not true. It's a funny story, so I tell it. Hey, listen. So I'm just kind of curious. So, when was the last time somebody came through?
Oh, geez. Well, we've been waiting here for a while now, and we've gotten a bunch of, lots of postmen coming through. We were told to look out for about 17 teams. I kind of lose count. I only got 10 fingers. But, last folks came through here maybe a couple days before you. We got them right onto the ferry, though, and, you probably won't catch up with them, so that's a darn shame.
Great. Well, we're a little low on supplies. Is there anything you got off those guys we could buy?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're sure in luck. We got a whole bunch we got a nice big stash. Why, you could wait out the whole season of storms back on the ship. I mean, Ferry headquarters.
Wait, well, where'd you get all that stuff?
Found it.
In let's see, Elvish. Everard is gonna look over at Nail and say like, "Hey, I think these guys are pirates. I don't think we should get on this boat." In Dwarvish, no, there's a guy who speaks Dwarvish and that speaks Elvish. So I think Elvish is the only language I've got on this.
And Niall says, I concur. So how do we handle this? He says in Elvish.
I guess let's look around. Like, it's just the two of them?
Yeah, it's just the two of them. They're standing, sort of on the grassy side of the road where they were waiting for the next postman team. They have claimed to be your ferry contractors, and they want to lead you to the ferry barge, which is presumably waiting down by the water not too far.
Great. Well, hey, we just slid down that big hill, so we kind of need to take a minute to check over our wagon here and just make sure nothing broke, because probably won't be stuff on the ferry to fix it. It'll be, be hard. It's all packed in there, so we're just gonna take a minute if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Hey, take your time. I mean, it's gonna just keep raining like this, so if we get you on the barge, we could take you out to the water a little bit. Once we get on the water, we'll get away from the storm. It'll be way easier to check.
Oh, well, I think we're gonna do it now anyway, so just, hang on.
And as you say that, it just seems like it's raining just a little bit harder now.
Sure. Yeah, I guess Everard's just gonna go over to, just kind of try to huddle up for a second with everybody,
Yeah.
See if we can get the crew huddled up, at least pretending to look over the wagon, but secretly using the opportunity to talk.
Yeah. Yeah, Glemma and Knock Knock are sort of hunched up against the wagon where the roof provides just a tiny bit of cover. And you all gather in that, confined space together where you find some small bit of safety from the rain. And because of how heavy the rain is, you're pretty sure you could have a private conversation.
Okay, well, yeah, so I was trying to catch him out there to get him to admit that they took all the stuff from the last group of postmen, but he was surprisingly a little too clever for that. I didn't see that coming. I still think that these guys are super shady. They're probably pirates, and they're probably going to try and steal all our shit and kill us or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, there's only two of them here, so we can probably just, leave, or I don't know. But, then we'd have to go through the creek, so... I doubt we have the forces to, take on their whole boat, either, so... I don't know. What should we do?
What if we just... What if they just disappeared? What if maybe a very large wolf got a little hungry and they were gone?
I mean, I don't super have a problem with that. I guess that would mean they couldn't go tell everyone where we are and to come find us.
The captain, you hear from inside the wagon, someone banging on the side of the wagon. Hey, is everything good? Are all the wheels fine? Are we just about ready to move? We gotta catch that ferry.
With how tall the wagon is. Oh, wait, never mind.
Niall sticks his head in the porthole and says, these jaybirds don't seem to be legitimate. I think we're being led into a trap, or they're trying to lead us into a trap. I don't think there's a ferry there, at least not the one we're looking for. So we need to take a minute and reassess and see what we're going to do.
All right.
So he says to the halfling, just kind of towers over him and glares down at him and says, "Why are you in such a hurry to get us on that ship, on that boat?"
Both the halfling and the dwarf look up, faces fully being pelted by raindrops. Well, it's, we've been out here for a long time. I kind of miss being not wet.
Okay.
Seems like a good reason.
It is a valid reason.
I think Apollo will kind of gesture to Catalina and go, "Hey, we should probably check on Saucy's harness, don't you think?" And kind of walk over there and act like he's looking at it, maybe loosen it up a little bit so, at the drop of a hat it could come free and there's a large wolf on the loose.
Yeah. Also, I feel like in the past 2 days, I've probably taught Saucy a couple new words, like maybe one or two. And I'm just like, if we need to, we can have Saucy look around. Like, hey, say he just needs to walk around a bit. He's trained. Don't worry. Have Saucy search.
Saucy might not be able to give you a detailed report, but can certainly look around unnoticed.
I think Everard moves up to Catalina and says, it also occurs to me we don't have to kill them necessarily right off the bat. Like, we could beat them up and tie them up and then ask them questions, and they might be more likely to be honest about what their whole deal is.
Yeah, not everything has to be murder. You're right.
Well, and that doesn't preclude, if it needs to go that way, it could. But I'm just saying, maybe we could gather some intel.
Of course. Don't worry. I
just want to make it clear, it's not a moral principle, but a strategic decision.
Oh, I know.
Excellent.
I like how weird you are.
You can overhear the halfling talking to the dwarf, describing some sort of violent act where he's like, and then I hit him a fourth time, and then I forgot, so he lost the leg, but not the way he was supposed to. I'm not a doctor.
And Nail looks at him and kind of shows him his dagger, and he says, "But if you're leading us into a trap, you're going to need one."
Oh boy! I would never. We took this gig because, well, to be quite honest, it's getting hard out here with all the, no sun, no moon, not even a star. I used to be a proud member of the Bart Company, self-admitted. I'm just trying to be on the straight and narrow is all.
But I heard that some of the Bart Company people still could navigate. What's up with that?
Oh, yeah, well, let's just say it's kind of like independent contractors. The Bart Company really is a amalgamation of freelancers, folks who, do their own thing but provide to a common fund. But yeah, don't get me wrong, it's been real gravy up until the last couple weeks, and, well, the boss has been getting a little maudlin, hasn't seen his husband in a while, but he's got the anniversary coming up. I guess it's just A little bit of the blues.
I mean, out of game. What do we do here, guys? What's our plan?
Yeah.
We gotta make a move here.
Raining hard. It is pitch dark. The only light is coming from the lantern that Meatbone is holding, and he's gonna run out of oil eventually. They're sick. They're tired. They want to get you onto the ferry. That's obvious. You haven't seen the ferry yet. Or you haven't not seen the ferry yet. And the captain is going to insist that you stick to the itinerary unless you come up with a good reason that they should.
Let's go.
Yeah, so we have a couple. Let's just like lay it out here, friends. Right? We can take our chances with the ferry, and there's a chance that we can, I don't know, lie, cheat, steal, negotiate, and or kill our way through whatever that set of obstacles might be. Or we can attempt to convince the captain to go through the creek, use the advice from our friend the Soggy, and try to just, follow the frogs through the creek, which is its own set of problems. Because I also feel like moving the wagon through the creek itself would be a tremendous
huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. But doesn't involve a barge full of pirates. So I think it's a choice of pick your troubles here.
Right. So you've been given the idea that navigating the creek is really, really hard, almost impossible. And with the wagon, it's going to be a huge uphill battle. You also were told by the Crick Elves themselves that they're starting to enforce the boundaries of the Crick. So you might also have to deal with some local aggression if you're navigating the Crick. A lot of unknowns. The unknown in taking the ferry is you're just not sure if these guys are on the level, right? They might try to rob you, they might try to mislead you, but there's always the chance that they're legit and they're just picking up some extra work.
I think we should go. Or at least go to see the ferry, like before we get on it.
Trust but verify, right?
Sure. I'm game.
Send it.
All right. So the captain, all right, it's enough. Let's get on this ferry. This water's starting to leak through the roof. Oh, that's great. I have my pal Squeefa here. He's gonna lead the way. So, I'll be keeping the light on the ground so you can see. You just follow us. We're gonna get out of this mess. Let me tell you. And they direct you to pull off the road, and you do start to see as Meatbone with their lantern leads you forward. There are ruts in the grass. Other wagons have passed this way. It's not that long, 20, 30 minutes. They lead you through the darkness, following these ruts in the wet grass. You come to a coastline, rocky, gravelly beach, and there, half out of the water, staked into that ground, is a wooden barge that's big enough to accommodate your wagon and all of you. Like I said, it's right here, right where I left it. But, yeah, Squeefa, you get in there with a bucket and you start getting some of that rainwater out. We gotta get out of this storm. And some of you once you get the wild wagon in there, make sure wheels is locked and we'll push off. yeah, now that you've seen the wagon, or excuse me, the ferry for the wagon, are has anyone decided to change their minds or suggest any other course of action?
Okay, so I'm guessing visibility isn't great, but like, so we're looking at a barge.
Yes.
And is our understanding that that barge is supposed to take us all the way, or like, is that the ferry, or is it taking us to a bigger boat that's gonna like then take us on? Like, you know what I mean?
Meatbone explains that this is the ferry barge. This is the barge that would take you along the coastline. They have inside of the barge, they have some long poles that they're going to use to navigate the shallower water along the coast. And they can follow the coast that way to get you past the creek. But he does insist, looking out into the water, you do see tiny pinpricks of light coming from something which is bobbing up and down in the water. And you can tell that the rain stops out there. It's only along the land of the coast. So he says what they're going to do before they take you all the way to your destination, they're going to take you back to that ship that's docked out in the bay. We're all going to dry off and get a nice hot meal and, introduce you to the boss, and then we can get you back on the road.
Okay. And Carolina kind of takes a step back closer to Saucy and is like, but if you're lying and I don't get to go where I need to go, you won't get to go where you need to go. And she kind of just like taps Saucy's head.
Well, I don't know how to do stitches, so I better stay on your good side.
And she
Yeah, 'cause
smiles
you're not
and
a
it's just
doctor.
Tusk.
I sure ain't. You do see, however, that so you get into the barge. Waiting in the barge, it's again just the two of them. Squeefa, the dwarf, picks up one of the long poles and begins to kind of shove out into the water. And there is sort of some piles of stuff in one corner, and laying on top of that piles of stuff is just an enormous, like 2-foot wide meat cleaver. And Meatbone goes over and sort of throws a damp blanket over it. Can't get any more rust on it than it's already got, right?
Yeah.
Don't mind that. This, it's for surgery.
Where's the not doctor? But okay.
You don't
She
have
just
to have a
whispers that part.
license to be a surgeon. You gotta know the loopholes. You're not breaking the law if it's technical. And as you all load up the wagon and they shove off from the shore, within just a few short minutes, they're able to push out to deeper water, where they take turns on either side with large paddles paddling out. And you can see that the thing that they're paddling out to is actually a very large vessel. It's fairly steady in the waves. And chained along the sides are other similar lanterns to the one that Meatbone has now hung up on a hook on the barge. And you are being paddled out to a large ship. And this is where we're going to end the session today. As the name across the side of the ship comes into the hazy lamplight, in golden letters you can see Salty Squirter is the name of that ship.
Classic.
So we will pick up next session there as we all dock the barge out of the rain for once, finally, in some relative safety, with our newfound friends Meatbone and Squeefa, who aren't really on the level, don't seem that harmful, but we'll figure that out next time. So, thank you everyone for playing so much. I would like you all, if you could, to just very briefly reintroduce yourselves for the audience to let them know who you were, who you played, and if you'd like to be found on the internet. Starting with Bonus Dad.
Everybody, I'm Bonus Dad. I played Carrick Nailo, whose last name means night breeze. He is a high elf rogue, and he goes by Nail. And I can be found on the internet sometimes on weekdays between maybe around 10:30 in the morning. I sing occasionally, read poetry, read Uncle Wiggily stories, children's stories, and they're for children of all ages. And that's my tale.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bonus Dad. Up next, Ace.
Hey everybody, I'm Ace. Usually find me around the Bonus Moms Tavern Discord. I'm one of the DMs that usually is running games there. On a bit of a pause right now, just because I just got done running several, but hoping to get more started up in the future. Tonight I was playing Apollo, the Hobgoblin Ranger.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ace. Up next, Zenobia.
Hi, it's Sylvia again. You can find me on most social media at Flannel Flannel. I will usually pop up. If I don't, it's a clothing company that won't give me that handle. Um, and today I played Catalina, the half-orc fighter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Pixel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pixel. And you can find me on Friday for our Curse of Strahd game, where I'll be doing that and many more obnoxious accents. And I played today Everard Eldertingle, Shadow Sorcerer, and a bloodthirsty little maniac. And forgerer in the making. You can also find me at twitch.tv/hammer and pixel, where I play video games. I have been off of doing that for a while this last week because I've been working on some music stuff, which has been very exciting. That album should be coming out I don't know, the next couple of months sometime. I gotta get like art and stuff, but I'm very excited. It'll be coming out soon. I'll be sure to announce that when it does. You can also find me in the Bonus Moms Tavern Discord running games and administrating and whatnot. So I can be found lots of places. And that's me.
Wonderful. And I have
I
been
forgot
Beast.
to I forgot
Yes.
to mention. I'm sorry. Let me do this just real quick. The place where I can be found is on TikTok with Bonus Mom 70 on her live stream. Thanks.
Awesome. Go check them out. We are the Bonus Fam, and we do a lot of stuff like this. A lot of content. Everything from children's stories to these funny little adventures that I'm doing with you now. I have been Beast. I have been your Dungeon Master Game Master. And this has been The Beast Wilds, episode 2 of The Way Forward, Soggy Boots. Thank you so much for playing. Thank you so much for watching, all of you out there. And we hope to see you again. And if you missed any part of this episode live, you can catch it on the Ages of Ainur YouTube channel. So please come comment, find me in the Discord in my Beast Wilds campaign text channel if you want to learn more or just chit chat. Happy to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye, folks.